with the August heat already clinging to my neck. Inside was one line, printed in all caps on cheap printer paper. "Don't go to your wife's funeral. Go to your brother's house. She's not alone." I froze. My first thought, some disgusting joke, some sick bastard trying to get attention. But then I read it again, the wording, the precision. She's not alone. That wasn't random. That was too exact, too damn specific. Quick note. Before we go further, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. And let's continue. My name's Ryan. I'm 32. I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I've been a husband for 7 years, a grieving husband for 5 days. At least I thought I was. The funeral car was already parked at the curb. The church was decorated. People were calling, asking where I was, why I wasn't answering. My phone kept buzzing in my pocket, but I couldn't move. I just stared at that paper in my hand like it was on fire. Caleb lived only 10 minutes away. My older brother, my best man. The guy who cried with me in the hospital after the doctor said Aaron didn't make it. He hugged me like he meant it. He even stayed over the first night so I wasn't alone. Now this. I looked up and down the street. Nothing out of place. Nothing suspicious. My hand was shaking, so I folded the letter, shoved it deep into my inner suit pocket, and headed down the block, past the car, past the driver waiting to open the door. I didn't answer when he called my name. I couldn't drive. My hands weren't working right. So I walked. 10 minutes to Caleb's place. Maybe 12 if I kept slowing down like I was. My heart was hammering the whole time, like it already knew something I didn't. My dress shoes slapped the sidewalk. My throat was dry as bone. Every step felt heavier than the last. I wasn't sure what I was expecting. A punchline, a twist. But I kept moving. I had to know. I had to see what the hell was waiting for me at Caleb's door. I reached Caleb's street, slower now, like my body was trying to delay what my mind already feared. His place sat on the corner, a tidy 2-story with beige siding and a trimmed hedge I helped plant 3 summers back. The blinds were half drawn, the porch swept clean. It looked like every other damn day. Ordinary, comfortable, familiar. I stood there a second too long, hand hovering in my pocket over the spare key I'd given him when we moved Aaron's stuff in during our apartment remodel. He said, "In case of emergencies." Guess this counted. The key slid in smooth. Door unlocked like it always did. I pushed it open and stepped into cool air and the scent of fresh coffee, but something else hit me harder. Men's cologne. Not mine. Not Caleb's usual cheap aftershave. Something stronger. New. Expensive. Voices drifted from the kitchen. Laughter. Her laugh. Aaron's laugh. I froze in the entryway, heart thudding so loud I thought they'd hear it from across the house. Her voice floated out, bright and easy, like she hadn't been declared dead 5 days ago. And then, another voice. His. I crept forward, 1 foot at a time, slow on the hardwood to keep it from creaking. I reached the corner and leaned just enough to peek around the edge. There they were. Caleb sat at the kitchen table, legs crossed, mug in hand, like he hadn't faked tears at her bedside. And Aaron, she was alive, right there in front of me, wearing a pale blue robe, hair up in a messy knot, smiling, laughing, pouring coffee into a second mug. She set it in front of him and leaned down, kissing him softly, casually, like it was routine. Like this was just their morning. He put his hand on her waist, said something low I couldn't hear, and she giggled. My wife. The woman whose funeral was supposed to start in 20 minutes. The woman whose hand I kissed in the hospital bed while her heart monitor flatlined. I staggered back, hit the wall behind me with a dull thud. My legs almost gave out under me, but I caught myself, couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. My body was buzzing with something between disbelief and pure animal rage. I backed out the way I came, careful not to make a sound. The front door clicked shut behind me, and I stumbled down the porch steps, blind with heat crawling up my neck and behind my eyes. At the gate, I stopped and gripped the cold metal just to steady myself. My fingers clenched hard around it, white-knuckled. I kept staring at the front door like it would swing open and someone would shout, "Surprise!" like this was some twisted intervention. But it stayed shut. They didn't even know I'd been there. A neighbor across the street opened his garage and gave me a little nod. I forced a twitch of my mouth in return, like I hadn't just watched my wife kiss my brother in the kitchen 10 minutes before her funeral. I wanted to scream, to kick the door down and drag them both out into the yard. Let the whole damn neighborhood see the truth. But I couldn't. Not yet. My chest was burning, but my brain started clicking. If they could fake a death, what else were they hiding? I turned and walked away with my fists tight in my pockets, the letter still crumpled deep inside. One step at a time, like if I stopped moving, I'd collapse. This wasn't grief anymore. This wasn't confusion. This was betrayal. Clean and cold and sharp as hell. I didn't remember the walk home. Not the streets, not the faces, not even the weather. I just moved, one foot after the other, like my body was on autopilot and my brain had left the building. But the stairs hit me. People out watering lawns or walking their dogs paused when they saw me. Funeral clothes, no car, no direction. One old man across the street straightened up like he was about to ask if I was okay, but I kept my head down and passed without looking. By the time I turned onto my block, my shirt was sticking to my back with sweat, and my mouth felt like it was packed with cotton. The funeral driver was still parked out front, engine running. He stepped out when he saw me. "Mr. James?" "We're late," he said, glancing at his watch, eyes squinting against the sun. "People are already seated. Should I take you now?" I looked at him, but I couldn't make my mouth form anything. Not a yes, not a no. Nothing. He tilted his head. "Sir?" I shook mine. Walked past him, straight up the porch steps. Fumbled with my keys like I'd never used them before. My fingers were damp, trembling. The door finally gave way, and I slammed it shut behind me. I didn't even take off my shoes. I dropped to my knees in the hallway, hit the floor with both fists, and let it out. Not grief. I'd already cried that out in the hospital. This was rage. This was humiliation. I howled so hard my throat cracked. Slapped the floor like it had personally betrayed me. I ripped off my tie, threw it across the room, yanked open the coat buttons, pacing like a caged dog. My chest burned. My ears were ringing. My eyes stung, but I didn't care. The phone started ringing. Then again, and again. It echoed off the walls like a siren. I didn't check it. I knew who it'd be. Her sister, her mom, maybe even her pastor. The people I was supposed to sit beside, crying over a closed casket full of lies. I finally grabbed the phone just to shut it up. The screen lit up. Mom-in-law. I let it ring out. Seconds later, voicemail. Then a text. "Where are you? This is beyond disrespectful." I tossed the phone onto the couch and sank into the chair beside it. My hands were shaking so bad I had to grip the arms just to keep them still. Then it hit me. Full force, like a slap in the face. The hospital, the nurses, the paperwork, the whole damn funeral home setup. None of it had to be real. She'd been the one pushing to get our financials in order the last 6 months. Always saying we needed better life insurance, better estate planning. And Caleb? He'd been working at City Hall since last fall, in zoning or some bureaucratic mess I never paid attention to. Always networking, always in the know. They could have pulled this off together. Hell, they probably had a whole playbook, a step-by-step guide on how to fake a death and run off with everything. I stood up and grabbed the picture frame from the mantel. It was our anniversary photo, the one from the beach, where she leaned into me like I was her whole world. I slammed it face down on the table. My throat was tight and my chest felt like it was collapsing in. But underneath all of it, a sharper feeling started to rise. Control. Not peace, not calm. Just the beginning of a new thread in my brain that said, You're not crazy. You saw what you saw, and now it's your move. Another call buzzed through. This one from her cousin Jason. I didn't answer. Let them all think I'd cracked. Let them whisper that I lost it from grief. I headed into the bedroom, still fully dressed. Sat on the edge of the bed and looked around at what used to be ours. The makeup bag still in the drawer, the stupid novelty pillow she insisted on keeping, the mug on the nightstand with a lipstick print that wasn't even old. Had she even planned to leave this behind? Or was it just for show? The more I sat there, the more the pieces clicked together. Erin had been prepping for this. For months. All those times she made me sign documents without explaining. The financial talks she steered, always with urgency. Her sudden obsession with emergency plans. It wasn't paranoia. It was math. It was planning. And Caleb, smiling Caleb, with his easy access to city departments and permits, and his hand on my shoulder telling me she's in a better place. Yeah, she was. In his kitchen, wearing his robe. I stood up, grabbed the wedding album from the shelf, and ripped out the page with our vows. I didn't even look at it, just tore it in half and dumped it in the trash. The phone rang again. This time, I let it. Let them all wonder. I wasn't playing my part anymore. The phone was still ringing when I heard the knock at the door. Sharp, measured, not urgent, not frantic. Just 3 even knocks like he had every right to be there. I didn't move at first, just stood in the hallway, staring at the door like it was some kind of test. I already knew who it was. Had to be. No one else would show up unannounced, not tonight. The doorknob rattled lightly, then his voice came through. Calm, controlled. "Ryan, it's me." I opened the door slowly, like my body needed time to process this level of betrayal face to face. There he stood, Caleb, my brother, in black. Suit pressed, tie perfect, hair slicked back like it was some damn movie premiere, eyes red, voice soft. The grieving brother-in-law. "Hey, man." He reached out and pulled me into a hug before I could react. His arms wrapped around me like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't spent the morning drinking coffee with my wife while I thought she was dead. I stood there stiff as a board, letting it happen. My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. He pulled back and looked me over like he was genuinely worried. "You okay? We were all really worried when you didn't show." I shrugged. Didn't trust myself to speak yet. He stepped inside, uninvited, like always. "I figured you'd be here. I told everyone you might have just needed some space. I said you were probably too overwhelmed." I closed the door behind him, slow and quiet, every movement deliberate. Caleb walked into the living room and glanced around like he was taking inventory. His eyes paused on the torn-up wedding album in the trash. He didn't say anything. Didn't flinch. "It was a beautiful service," he said, turning back to me. "People came in from Jersey, even Boston. Erin's parents were pretty upset you weren't there, but I covered for you. Told them you were just wrecked." I nodded once, stayed silent. He sat down on the edge of the couch, leaned forward, elbows on his knees like he was settling into some intimate fireside chat. We lit candles. Her mom picked out that old hymn she liked, the one from your wedding. And the photos. Man, they had that slideshow with all those beach shots. "You remember that trip to Rehoboth?" I stood across from him, arms crossed, and stared at the floor just to keep from lunging across the room. Every word out of his mouth was rehearsed, smooth. He didn't stutter, didn't pause. He had the character down cold. Caleb looked up at me. "Honestly, it didn't feel right without you. But I get it. You loved her. Grief hits us all different." My jaw twitched. I finally spoke. "You want water or something?" He blinked. No, I'm good. I just wanted to check in on you. You know, we need to support each other right now." Support each other. The ball's on him. I nodded again. Sat down across from him, careful to keep my face blank. How long you staying? Not long. I just didn't want the night to end without seeing you. You're my brother, and she was everything to both of us. That one nearly made me laugh. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to stop myself. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded-up program. Thought you'd want this. From the service. I saved one for you. He handed it to me like it was a sacred artifact. Like it wasn't a printed piece of theater. Erin's face smiled up from the glossy paper, the same face I'd seen kissing him that morning in a robe that wasn't mine. I took it, didn't say thanks. Caleb stood up and smoothed out his jacket. All right, man. I'll let you get some rest. Just don't shut people out, okay? You don't have to go through this alone. I walked him to the door. He pulled me into another hug before stepping out. Call me if you need anything. I mean it. I shut the door behind him and locked it. Twice. Then I grabbed a notebook from the kitchen drawer, sat down at the dining table, and opened to the first blank page. My hands were steady now. My mind was clearer than it had been in days. I wrote at the top in capital letters, questions. How long had it been going on? Who else knew? Why fake it? Where were they planning to go? What was the end game? Was the plan always for me to suffer or just disappear? Each question burned hotter than the last. I didn't stop to reflect. I didn't slow down. I just wrote, underlined, circled. Then I stared at the final line I'd scribbled. How did I miss it? I didn't have an answer yet, but I would. I'd get all of them, every last one. The next morning started with a phone call I let ring too long. I stared at the screen, half hoping it would stop on its own. Linda, mother-in-law. I finally swiped to answer, dragging the phone to my ear like it weighed 20 pounds. What the hell is wrong with you? She snapped before I could even say hello. You missed your wife's funeral. I took a breath, tried to keep my voice low and wrecked. I fainted, I said. I was getting dressed and passed out. I guess the grief just hit all at once. There was silence on the other end for a beat. Then she huffed. You should have told someone. We thought you just didn't care. Her father was pacing all morning. I'm sorry, I said deadpan. I wasn't thinking straight. Well, you embarrassed the family. Everyone noticed. She didn't care about me. Not really. Just the optics, the performance. I let her talk until she ran out of steam, then hung up without saying goodbye. I tossed the phone onto the couch and stood there, staring at nothing. I was still in yesterday's clothes. The house was dead silent except for the hum of the fridge. My hands were twitching. I needed to do something. I went to the bedroom and yanked open Erin's closet. Her things were still there, untouched since the day I got the call. I pulled down the purse she always kept on the top shelf, the red one she never let me touch. I dumped it on the bed. Wallet, receipts, lip gloss, gum, the usual junk. But the receipts caught my eye. A bunch of them. Coffee shops, boutique stores, some little cafe in Lidditz, all dated within the last 2 months. Caleb's neighborhood. Every single one. I spread them out and grabbed a pen from the nightstand, circling the addresses. Most were within walking distance from his street. 2 of the shops were inside a strip mall 2 blocks from his house. This wasn't some quick affair. This was comfort. Routine. They'd made a whole new life right under my nose. I slammed the purse aside and moved to the dresser, bottom drawer. The one she said was just old papers. I ripped it open and started tearing through it. Buried under a pile of birthday cards and old takeout menus was a black notebook, plain cover, worn corners. I opened it and flipped through the pages. Doctors' names, lawyer referrals, payment schedules. And then, in her handwriting, neat, straight, confident, one line that made my stomach turn inside out. Switch insurance beneficiary, split with Caleb. I froze, couldn't even breathe. My eyes locked on those 6 words like they were a loaded gun pointed straight at my head. I read it again, Then again. It wasn't just betrayal. It was financial murder. They were planning to cash me out and start fresh. Together. I grabbed the notebook, flipped faster. More notes. Lists of tasks. Some crossed out, some still open. Transfer savings to joint trust. Schedule visit with Davis Re. Death certificate. Double-check Caleb's new address. They'd been building this thing piece by piece. Planning it while I was going to work, paying bills, fixing the damn dishwasher. I dropped the notebook and sat down hard on the bed. My legs were shaking. I wasn't just a fool. I was a mark. They used me, gutted me emotionally, then tried to clean me out financially. A sound escaped my throat, half laugh, half sob. I rubbed my face hard with both hands, trying to snap out of it. This wasn't random. This wasn't some heat-of-the-moment affair or a desperate decision. This was calculated. This was months, maybe a year, of preparation. I stood back up, opened her laptop from the nightstand, and powered it on. The screen lit up. No password. Stupid. She probably never thought I'd need to check. I went through her folders, found labeled documents. Some looked innocent. Budgeting, joint tax information. But others weren't. One spreadsheet was labeled Emergency Plan. Another folder titled Private. Inside were scanned documents, copies of her insurance policy, PDFs from a lawyer's office in Philly, a scanned driver's license. Only it wasn't hers. It had her face, but a different name. Fake ID. My heart beat faster. I clicked through until I hit a dead end. Password-protected ZIP file. I tried the basics. Our wedding date. Her birthday. Caleb's. Nothing worked. But I didn't care. I had enough. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This was a damn crime scene. I went back to the dresser, pulled out a notepad, and started listing it all. Purse receipts near Caleb's house, notebook with payments, lawyers, split with Caleb line, insurance policy scans, fake ID. My pen dug into the page with each item. I was shaking, not from fear this time, but something sharper. Rage. They didn't just cheat. They didn't just lie. They built this, piece by piece, expecting me to fall apart, to disappear, to grieve myself into the ground while they collected the leftovers. But I wasn't going anywhere. Now it was my turn to plan. I left the house right after I closed the notebook. Didn't change clothes, didn't grab water, just shoved everything I'd found into my backpack and headed straight to Caleb's neighborhood. I wasn't there to confront. Not yet. I needed proof. Solid, undeniable, in their faces proof. It was a Sunday. Quiet, but not dead. A few people watering lawns, some kids riding bikes. I walked slow, casual, like I was just another neighbor passing through. The street smelled like cut grass and old mulch, too normal for the kind of betrayal crawling under the surface. I started with the house 3 doors down from Caleb's, a gray ranch with a sun-bleached flag out front and a cracked flower bed. I knocked, smiling like I had nothing but friendly intentions. A woman in her 60s opened the door, squinting like she didn't recognize me, which was perfect. "Hey," I said, scratching the back of my neck like I was nervous. "I'm Ryan, Caleb's brother. I'm helping him out with something. Have you seen him around lately?" She stepped out onto the porch, arms crossed. "Oh sure, he's always walking that golden retriever. Nice guy. Quiet." "Right," I said. "And has he been alone, or—" She waved her hand. No, he's got that wife with him. Tall, brunette. They're always together, shopping over at the plaza. Saw them just the other day, actually." I felt my stomach twist, but kept my face blank. "Right, yeah. That's Aaron." She nodded like the name meant nothing, which told me all I needed. She had no idea Aaron was supposed to be dead. I thanked her and moved on. Same approach, house by house. Pretend to be helpful. Ask casual questions. Stay calm. Smile. It worked. Too well. The guy across the street from Caleb said, "Oh, you mean that lady that parks the silver SUV?" "Yeah, I've seen her. They seem close, always laughing. Another neighbor, a retired vet named Frank, shook my hand and told me, "Saw them at that new Italian place. Thought they were newlyweds. She was feeding him bites off her fork." Every word stacked the anger deeper inside me. Not just betrayal, performance. They weren't hiding. They were out in the open, living like a real couple while I was sitting at home thinking my wife was in the damn ground. At the end of the block, a young guy with paint on his shirt opened the door. When I asked if he recognized Aaron, he said, "Wait, hold on." He disappeared, came back with his phone, and I showed him a photo. He pointed immediately. "Yeah, I saw her at the corner store a few days ago. She was with a guy, taller, brown hair. I think they were arguing about ice cream or something. I remember 'cause she was wearing pajamas in public, and I thought, damn, they must be real comfortable with each other." I thanked him and walked off fast, pulling out my notebook and writing down every single comment. Names, house numbers, times, stores, dates, witness after witness. By the time I made it back to my car, my hands were shaking. But this time it wasn't just rage, it was focus. I had the start of a real trail, and I knew someone who could help me take it further. Darren, my oldest friend. We'd grown up riding bikes and skipping school together. He knew Caleb, knew Aaron, knew all of it. If there was something off, maybe he'd seen it. I texted him, "You around?" 10 minutes later, we were sitting in the back booth at King's Diner. The waitress dropped off our coffee and walked away. Darren gave me a weird look. "You look like hell, man." "Yeah," I said, staring into the cup. "Been a rough week." He didn't ask more, just waited. That's what I liked about him. Never pushed. I slid my phone across the table and showed him a photo of Aaron and Caleb from 2 Christmases ago. "I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. No sugarcoating. Did you ever see them together? Alone? In public? Acting? Not normal?" He blinked. Looked down at the photo, then back at me. "You serious?" "Dead serious." He looked around, lowered his voice. "All right. Yeah. Once, maybe twice. I saw them at that organic grocery off Route 30. They were holding hands. I figured it was a mistake. Maybe I saw it wrong." "When was that?" "Spring. Maybe April." I didn't say anything 'cause, I don't know, man. I didn't want to stir up drama if I was wrong. But now, he paused. "Why are you asking this now?" I stared at him for a second. Decided to give him a piece. "Because Erin's not dead. I saw her, with Caleb, at his house." His jaw dropped. "Number. That's not—" "Wait, what?" "I'm not joking. She faked the whole thing. There's paperwork, receipts, a notebook, they planned it." Darren leaned back, shaking his head. "Holy hell. I need names, dates, anything you remember. Can you help me or not?" He nodded slowly. Yeah, I can." By the time we left the diner, I had even more written down. His sightings, his details, his own rage. Proof wasn't just building, it was piling. Witnesses, photos, paper trails. They didn't just betray me in secret. They paraded it in daylight like I'd never notice. I sat in the car outside the gas station on Route 41, rereading the receipt again for the 5th time. Same logo in the corner, same timestamp, same card number that matched Aaron's statement from last month. The place wasn't near Caleb's house. It was way out, 20 miles past the edge of town. The line under the logo said, "Rock Hollow Cabins, Unit 7. That's how I found them. Not by accident. Not by luck. Just math. One receipt, one gas station, one idiot move on their part. I drove past the area twice before I turned in. Gravel crackled under the tires. It was early evening. Still light, but the woods around the place made it feel later. The cabins were spread out in a curve behind a split-rail fence, rustic and quiet like a postcard. I parked behind some trees 100 yards out, slid down in the seat and waited. Didn't even turn the engine off at first. Just stared at Cabin 7 like it was a crime scene waiting to get taped off. Then I saw them. Caleb came out first, shirtless, holding a beer. Erin followed right after, in cut-off shorts and a tank top. Her hair was up. No wig, no disguise. Just her, smiling, barefoot, tossing a towel over her shoulder like she was on vacation. She kissed him on the cheek. He handed her the beer. They looked happy, relaxed, comfortable. It was like watching strangers. I watched them sit out on the porch together, feet up on the railing, laughing about something. Caleb pointed toward the woods, said something that made her swat his arm. Like a married couple on day 3 of their new life. No grief, no guilt, just starting over, with my wife and my money. After 20 minutes, they both went back inside. I waited. 10 more. 15. Then I saw the headlights. They pulled out in Erin's SUV and headed down the gravel road toward the main street. I counted to 60, grabbed my backpack, and moved, fast and low, heart hammering in my chest. The air smelled like pine and cigarettes. My shoes crunched the gravel louder than I liked. The cabin door had one of those cheap keypad locks. Same brand we had on our shed back home. I tried her birthday. It clicked on the first try. Inside, the place smelled like sweat and Febreze. I didn't turn on any lights, just pulled the curtains closed and moved fast. Their clothes were everywhere. Suitcase open in the corner. Caleb's laptop bag next to the bed, her flip-flops by the door. I went for the table near the kitchenette. There was a folder left half open, paper edges sticking out. I flipped it open and froze. 2 driver's licenses, both fake. Both had their faces and different names. They weren't even trying to hide anymore. Next page, forged medical files. Erin's name with a terminal illness diagnosis. Faked scans. A death certificate template. I took pictures of everything, each one louder than the last. Then I saw the flash drive on the table. No label. Just plugged into a little portable speaker. I stuck it into my own USB reader and clicked through it with shaking hands. Audio files. Dozens of them. I clicked one. Erin's voice. If he starts asking questions, we say he's been paranoid for months. He's already withdrawn. People won't be shocked. Then Caleb. Right. And if he snaps, we can use it. Say he got aggressive. I'll talk to my guy at City Hall about a psych eval trigger. All we need is a push. My vision blurred. My throat went dry. I paused the audio and backed out. Next folder. Insurance. I opened it. Forms with my name. Bank account routing changes. Authorization letters with forged signatures. She'd already rerouted the payout. I took pictures of everything. Opened my bag, grabbed my own flash drive and copied the audio. Grabbed a second one just in case. I didn't care how long it took. I copied every file, every folder, every shred of their plan. Then I did a sweep of the bathroom. Makeup bag, toothbrushes. 2. Caleb had a razor next to her eyeliner. They'd made a home out of this lie. I stepped back out onto the porch, shut the door behind me, and made it halfway to the woods before my knees buckled. I dropped behind a tree and just sat there, hands in my hair, heart pounding like a jackhammer. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't grieving wrong. I'd been set up. They planned everything. They were ready to ruin me if I got too close. But now I had it all. Every photo, every voice recording, every dirty little piece. I stood up, heart still racing, and walked back to the car. Not hiding, not scared, just focused. They thought I'd bury myself in grief. Instead, I was about to bury them in proof. I didn't sleep that night. I laid on the couch with the flash drive stacked on the coffee table like evidence in a trial. The kind of stuff that could flip a person's whole life upside down, which is exactly what I planned to do. By morning, I had a plan. First step, silence. I cut off everyone, ignored texts, let calls go to voicemail, didn't show up to work, just stayed low, like a grieving husband falling deeper into the hole. It worked. People left me alone. Even Linda stopped calling. I think she figured I was too broken to function. Let her think that. Meanwhile, I put everything on a fresh USB. Labeled, sorted, clipped for clarity. Then I drove downtown to a little office above a pawn shop where a guy named Jace Miller ran a blog that had taken down more than a few city officials and 2 local developers. He didn't deal in fluff. His articles read like grenades. I walked in and sat across from him at a chipped desk surrounded by newspaper clippings and old coffee mugs. "Do you take tips?" I asked. He leaned back, gave me a once-over. "Depends. What kind? Insurance fraud, identity fraud, conspiracy, medical forgery, maybe some light murder, depending how you look at it." He raised a brow. "All right, I'll bite. Show me." I handed him the USB. He plugged it into his laptop. I watched his expression change frame by frame. First blank, then interested, then leaning in. He clicked through the photos of Aaron on the porch with Caleb. The forged medical records, the insurance papers. Then he hit the audio. I watched his jaw clench when he heard Caleb say, "All we need is a push." He paused the file, looked at me. "You have more?" "I've got names, witnesses, receipts, neighbors, a list of people who saw her alive. You want it, I'll give it. But I need this out, public, fast." Jace sat there a moment, weighing me. Then he said, "If this is real, they're screwed." "It's real," I said. "I lived it." He nodded once. "Give me 3 days. Don't talk to anyone." I left the office with my hands still shaking but my mind locked in. The fuse was lit. All I had to do was sit back and let the truth do its job. And it didn't take long. By the second day, I caught wind of whispers. Not from anyone close, I kept my distance, but from online posts and small-town message boards. Did anyone actually see Aaron's body? Why are there no funeral photos? Someone said they saw her 2 days ago at a gas station. Little cracks, nothing big yet, but enough to make people question. Then the article dropped. Jace didn't hold back. Full write-up. Widow uncovered. The woman who faked her death and the brother who helped her. Photos included. Audio clips embedded. No names blurred. No mercy. My phone lit up like a bomb had gone off. Calls from co-workers, neighbors, people I hadn't heard from in years. Even the church secretary. I didn't answer a single one. Then Caleb called. His name lit up on my screen at 6:47 p.m. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. "What the hell did you do?" he snapped, voice already boiling. "You think this is funny? You think dragging Aaron's name through the dirt makes you look good?" I didn't say anything. Let him rant. "You're disgusting. She's dead, and you're out here spinning lies for attention. You didn't even come to the damn funeral." Still, I didn't speak, just breathed into the phone, steady, calm. "You think people are gonna believe some blurry photos and fake audio? You're unwell, man. You need help." I finally spoke. "You sure you want to keep talking to me on a recorded line, Caleb?" He went silent for a second. Then the call ended. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Not out of joy, just satisfaction. The trap was closing. He felt it. Aaron probably did too. And I hadn't lifted a finger since the day I dropped that flash drive on Jace's desk. Let them scramble. Let them panic. Because the more they fought it, the more guilty they looked. Exactly 1 week after Caleb's angry phone call, the story aired on local TV. Lead segment, prime time. Insurance scam uncovered. Faked death, family betrayal, and a plot gone public. They ran everything. Photos of Aaron at the cabin. Video clips of her kissing Caleb on the porch. Screenshots of the forged medical files. Snippets from the audio where she talked about making me look unstable. No editing. No protecting anyone. Jace had dropped the hammer. I sat on my couch in the dark. TV light flashing across the room. Phone buzzing nonstop next to me. First it was texts. Co-workers. Old friends. Even neighbors. People I hadn't talked to in years suddenly had something to say. Then came the calls. My cousin from Ohio. My boss. Even Aaron's church friend, Bethany. The one who swore Aaron was an angel. I didn't answer a single one. Erin's family vanished off social media within an hour. Her mom's Facebook went private. Her sister deleted hers completely. They'd spent the last 2 weeks treating me like garbage. Now? Radio silence. Caleb didn't show up to work the next day, or the next. His house stayed dark. Mail piling up. He was gone. Erin, too. No sign of her. The cabin was cleared out by the next morning. SUV gone. No forwarding address. But none of it mattered. The Lancaster PD released a short statement. Open investigation for insurance fraud and identity forgery. The state attorney general's office confirmed it was reviewing documents. 2 banks publicly froze accounts tied to both of them. One even flagged a wire transfer attempt for suspicious behavior. Turns out, when you play dead and file claims under a fake name, people start asking questions. For the first time since the letter showed up in my mailbox, I felt steady. Not happy, not healed, but clear. Like I'd stepped out of a fog and saw everything exactly for what it was. They wanted to bury me, emotionally, financially, maybe even legally. But I flipped it. I let them dig their own grave, then dragged the spotlight over it. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need revenge porn or smashed windows or public meltdowns. All I needed was truth, cold and loud. And now the whole damn world knew it. I sat on the couch, legs kicked up, phone still buzzing like crazy beside me. I let it ring, let it vibrate against the wood like background noise. Outside, the streetlights flicked on. Someone was walking their dog past my driveway. Peaceful, like it was any other night. Inside, I finally felt still. Not broken, not grieving, just ready. This wasn't the end. Not even close. This was page 1 of my real life. Mine and no one else's. Question for you. If someone faked their death to steal your life, how would you fight back? Tell me in the comments. I want to know how you'd handle it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.